Hello and welcome to this week's episode of CI Sports Zone. I'm your host, Christopher Usley. Joining with me, my co-host, Thomas Garbrick, and once again, joining us from Clutch Sports, he's the general manager, Jonathan Michael. How's it going, fellas?
It's going good. We made it past week one, and Jonathan, I just want to give a little PSA announcement just with how well week one went. I know it was really chaotic for you, so we're going to talk about kind of your journey on Friday night because that was really funny. But I just want to say this about week one. You know, we talk all week about just how exciting it is for the players and for the coaches. You know, week one is like Christmas week, right? And I think it is for guys like us too. There is no better feeling for me than getting to be one of our videographers on a Friday night. So what that means is you see me on the sideline with the camera capturing the highlights. Those are some of my favorite moments during the year, Jonathan. I know you can kind of echo the same thing. You're doing the play-by-play, behind-the-scenes stuff, but for me, just really, really cool to see that. So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's again, nothing like week one. I think for me as a broadcaster, I was kind of again shaking off the cobwebs a little bit, shaking off the rust, not the cobwebs. I was pretty aware. I was ready to go. It's just been been a while, but it's great to be back out there in Metamora. A little bit of a longer night than I expected to. It was a
crazy night for you
back through the WMBD station, but I made it in time. I about sprinted full sprint into the studio about 2 minutes before I went on. So we made it happen.
For all the people behind the scenes, because I know some people are genuinely curious about what it's like for us in terms of what a Friday night looks like. So Jonathan appears at our Game Day Live overtime show. Your hit is about 11:16 p.m. That Metamora game starts late, so you are,
Started at 8:15.
Started at 8:15, so you're going. That was kickoff, and so Kurt and Patrick, they're worried, like, is he gonna make it? And so literally, I had Jonathan's mic in the newsroom waiting for you to come through the door. You get through the door at 11:11, make a wish, and then we get you mic'd up and get you in the studio right before your hit. And it went totally fine. Nobody would have ever known that something like that happened. So that was pretty crazy. But I said, guys, I got this. Go do the show. I'll hang out and make sure that Jonathan gets the mic. And a pretty crazy night one story for you. Hopefully you don't have anything like that again.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't be a week one without something going crazy. Thankfully, nothing
100%.
Nothing too bad happened behind our broadcast, behind the scenes. All that stuff went pretty well for the most part. So, but again, it's week one. Something's going to happen. So that's what happened. But again, made it happen. It's pretty fun, though.
Absolutely. But it was really cool. I was at 2 games for week one. I was at U-High and Manual. I was only there for about 10 minutes because I had to get in and out and get to that Morton Muhammad Seymour game. And so it was a blast, just going to Manual U-High. Saw 2 quick touchdowns. Manual scored in 2 plays, which was awesome. They scored they had a 63-yard run and then a 15-yard touchdown run. And I was like, okay. I'm like, there we go, Manual. And then U-High just doing U-High things. They go down on their first possession score. They ended up scoring 71 points in that game. Obviously, I would have loved to have seen a little bit more of that, but good night for them. We're going to talk about that Morton Muhammad Seymour game in just a little bit as part of our recap of week one, but man, it was good stuff for sure. All right, Christopher, you ready?
Yeah, and Thomas, you kind of mentioned it, so let's kind of get rolling with some of these recaps. We're starting off with this Metamora versus Sterling.
The game that kicked off at 8:15 for Jonathan.
CSM late night. It was pretty fun. But again, Metamora, though, came out of the gates really ready to go. You see here a long touchdown pass. First drive of the year to Kylan McMillan. Again, Macomb transfer for them. I think he had 2 touchdown catches, if memory serves me right. So, again, big game for him and also for Stephen Petrie. Got it done with his legs, as many Metamora fans know he can do. Many Mid-Illini fans know he can do it as well.
They will grind you out on drives.
They will. And again, they were facing a little bit of a younger Sterling defense, a little bit younger front, and they were able to kind of feast a little bit. Metamora went up 30-0 in that game in the first half. They went up 14-0. Then they blocked a punt, gave them a short field, and then were able to score it again, and then got another quick stop. And then we're able to score again right after that. So again, you blinked at it. It's a 30-0 game now. It's a pretty even game during the second half. But again, Metamora looked really good on both sides of the ball. Jadon Cranford had over 100 yards. And again, McMillan, Petrie, a lot of guys had some really good games. So a big win for Metamora to start out the year.
Yeah, and then kind of shifting over now. He brought it up a little bit earlier. This Morton Muhammad Seymour just kind of what were some takeaways you got out of this? Obviously, really close game here. It just looked like some good football.
Yeah, again, I wasn't at that game, obviously, but I was able to watch a little bit of it kind of on some film. And, Morton was up, I think, 21-7 in the second half, which, again, that's a pretty solid lead over a very good Mahomet Seymour team. I mean, you talk about the teams that are just, you can bank on them being really good every single year. And, whatever class they end up in, usually Class 5A, Mahomet Seymour is in that conversation every time. So, again, Morton has some really good playmakers on their team. Got to see him. Isaac Davis has some big plays. So again, big play at the end. Morton was able to stop a 2-point conversion in the final minute after Sage Lelm gave him a go-ahead touchdown. So big clutch play. Tate Sherman kind of brought some pressure off the edge, stopped that 2-point conversion, and that was definitely the most dramatic game of Week 1 for sure, and a huge win for Morton. And they really shot up in our Clutch Sports Media Power Rankings that we just released earlier this week.
So really impressed with Isaac Davis Week 1. I was at this game. It was a thriller. I was able to stay for the whole half. He obviously had that big, long touchdown run. Interesting, late in the first half there, he scored a touchdown with 1 second to go in the second quarter. Huge turn of events for Morton that got him the win. I was really impressed with Morton's defense in this game. You can see some of these plays here. You got 3 guys swarming to the ball. But here's the play I felt like really changed the game. So Mahomet Seymour on 4th down, they run like this receiver hook and ladder, and Morton makes a beautiful play to break up that touchdown. That would have given Mahomet Seymour the lead, and I thought that was a huge pivotal moment in that game.
Well, and that just kind of shows like the discipline of that defensive backfield, because those little flea flickers like that can be very difficult to kind of pick up on, and so the discipline there, that very good coming from a high school.
I was really impressed with Morton. Felt like they played all 3 dimensions really well. Isaac Davis made a couple of nice throws in this game, but obviously his legs is what won them the game. But that defense was really, really good for Morton. I think that is going to pave the way for them to have a really strong season, because as we know, defense always travels. And so I think this Morton Potters team is going to be a really tough out once we get to conference play.
Yeah, and the third game we kind of wanted to look at is this DMAC Eureka game. Maybe not quite as good of a game, but what did we see from this one?
I mean, Week 1 you'll always see some results that may kind of open your eyes a little bit, like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting this team to be this good. And again, DMAC, I know, perennial playoff team, always a really great program, but Eureka's kind of had their number, and DMAC hadn't beaten Eureka since 2016, the year they won the state title in Class 2A. And so, again, DMAC, I think they definitely had a shot. I wasn't expecting them to blow them out 38-8. I mean, what a showing from the Chiefs. Again, they recovered not 1, but 2 onside kicks in the first half. So talk about an aggressive mindset for Cody Myers and the Chiefs. Really paid off for them. Sean Denniston was fantastic. I remember a few years ago watching his older brother Brett Denniston being a really key running back, just a bruiser, really tough guy to stop, and Sean Denniston looking to be the exact same way, and a nice debut too for Zach Day at quarterback for DMAC. So again, that is just a big statement win. And with a win like that, I don't think it's too far-fetched to put DMAC kind of in that title conversation. Again, they're not playing in the heart of Central Illinois large this year. They're not playing with Eureka, Tremont, Tri-Valley. They redid those divisions in the heart of Central Illinois Conference, that new merger that started last year. So now they're in the heart of Central Illinois Conference medium division. They split it up into 3. They got large, medium, small. So they're in there with Gibson City, Melvin Sibley, who, again, they're going to be very good. Ridgeview, Lexington, who beat Leroy by multiple scores this past week, as well as Warrensburg, Latham, and Fieldcrest. So, some good teams in that division. I think, again, DMAC, what they showed in Week 1 could potentially, maybe win that medium division all outright.
Yeah, anytime you can go on the road and win by 30 points.
Yeah.
You stole the words out of my mouth, Jonathan. That is a statement win by DMAC Week 1. So I think that
doesn't get beat by 30 that
They
often.
don't either.
They don't.
That was definitely one of the shockers, I felt like, from Week 1, was just the score disparity. It felt like that game was going to be a close one, and DMAC said, not this week.
Yeah, definitely. And again, for Eureka, again, I know they're replacing, some key players from last year. And again, that'll all kind of get there. I still think Eureka will be, just fine this year. I'd be very, very surprised if they're not. Jason Bachman always has those guys ready to play really well. But again, kind of small school football is sometimes a little bit more reliant on who's got the most seniors, who's got the most experience. It's a little bit more kind of volatile in that sense. Like a team could be 2-7 one year and they could be 8-1 the next year. Again, it just all depends on the guys you have, and it's just you see a little bit more of that kind of year to year. So maybe this is a year DMAC takes a huge step up, and maybe some people expected them to maybe kind of stay in that 5-4, 6-3 range. Maybe this is the year for the Chiefs. Who knows?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we've looked at these last couple of games. There's been some good football. Now we are going to take a look at a preview here: Normal West versus Normal Community.
We'll get those video fixed really quickly.
yeah,
We got DMAC Eureka up right now.
But
we'll get us some Normal Community, Normal West stuff.
But
yeah, Jonathan, obviously this is the Clutch Sports Game of the Week, so just give us a little bit of a breakdown. How do you pick your Clutch Sports Game of the Week every week? I know people are always curious.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, a lot of it comes down to, what's the best game? I mean, that's kind of been the philosophy for us, picking our games that we do. Again, in our, game that we do with you guys, again, I think you can arguably say it's probably the top game in the area just about every week. So, again, there are some factors that do depend. There's some places we can go, some places where, it just logistically wouldn't work for us, or there's other things that hold us back. But, again, we're really excited to be at Normal West for the Chili Bowl. It's been a few years, I think, since we've done a West versus a community game. Last year we did Bloomington U High. They're also playing again on week 2. Going to be a lot of great matchups this week. But again, West and community both starting their years with big wins. Community over Richwoods. West a very good 34-14 win over Notre Dame in that first week. So again, that's a good P&D team. So again, I'm really high on West this year. In the past, again, Normal Community the last 2 years has had West number. They've won by big margins. I don't know if that's going to be the case this year. Now, I still think community can win, and who knows? They could still win by a big margin. But again, on paper, at least right now, I don't think it's going to be, the 48-7 or the 40-0 games that we've seen the last 2 years that Normal Community has won.
Very good. And Christopher, you probably should have the highlights of Normal Community and Normal West. Yes, no, maybe so?
Yep, I am pulling it up right
Perfect. Let's revisit what they were able to do this past week. And as Jonathan said, both teams coming off really big wins. I think Normal West, and again, that's still the DMAC Eureka. That's all right. Sometimes technology
is not on my side.
Does not want to work with it, but
Chiefs getting a lot of burn today. So
that's right, getting a lot of love. But I think that should be a really good game. I think I was really impressed with Normal West going on the road, getting a win against a really good P&D team. And like Jonathan said, I think Normal Community, they did what they were supposed to do in week 1. They took care of business at home. I think that's going to be a really good game. So obviously, Jonathan, you know what you're doing when you're picking your guys' game of the week. I think the Chili Bowl is going to be a really good one.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Got my eye on the running backs, especially again Cody Mulbauer, over 180 yards from West in the last game. And then Cole Kretzinger also really big game for Normal Community. Again, filling the shoes of Kalen Taylor and all those great running backs at Normal Community. So again, I think Kretzinger. I think a lot of people are gonna, if they don't know who Cole Kretzinger is yet, they're gonna figure it out. Just like who we figured out who Cody Mulbauer was right away week 1 last year.
Kretzinger was really good against Richwoods week 1. He was all over our highlights, so no doubt about it there. All right, Jonathan, any other final thoughts about week 1 before we move on to our plays of the week, something that we are debuting at WMBD this year? Any other final takes from week 1 that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, I think teams, I was really surprised, came out of the gates firing on offense. I mean, week 1, you saw Farmington putting up 51, Princeville putting up 54, Normal UI again putting up 71, and again, Metamora scored over 40. Several more teams scored over 40. So again, these offenses, they must have really been putting in the work this summer, and they were humming in the first week, and just overall, got a lot of points put up. So again, these offenses weren't missing a beat. We talked about week 1 rust a lot. Did not happen last week.
Yeah, I was going to say, normally in college football, right, we kind of looked at week 1. There were some really low-scoring games between some of those top teams. We're going to get to that in a little bit here. But to your point, yeah, I was impressed with the amount of points that teams were putting up, because usually that first half, even the first whole game, it's shaking off the rust. And for a team like Normal U High, yes, who is really good offensively, to score 71 points, where do you go from there?
I know.
Where do you go from
it's
there?
crazy. Well, and again, it wasn't even just, they scored at week 1. A lot of these teams were scoring on their first drive or even the first play of the game. Malik Given-Smith taking back the opening kickoff for Normal West and running it back for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, Metamora scored, the first 2.5 minutes of the game. We had, again, a lot of just right away. I mean, not even in the first quarter, the first minute or two.
Manuel scored at the game that I was at within the first 40 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Within the first 40 seconds. Just amazing.
And so, Thomas, you kind of touched up on a little bit. We're gonna look at some plays of the week. Can you kind of explain what we're doing here?
Yeah, so this is a new sponsored segment for Game Day Live Overtime, and so each week we're gonna have 2 nominee options, and you, the fans, are gonna get to vote on it. So you saw Kurt and Patrick, if you saw our 11 o'clock show on Friday, mention it, and so we're going to re-show you both plays, and then we're gonna announce the winners during our 5:30 show. So hopefully we get those plays going. Christopher's playing around with it a little bit, but unfortunately, technology can fail us a little bit, but the 2 options are Gavin Otto from Canton. This was an awesome punt return touchdown. Hopefully, we're going to be able to show it to you. And then the other option comes from El Paso Gridley, which we're going to talk about the Titans here in just a bit for marching band. But Chavon Maxon scores a crazy touchdown in that game as well. So hopefully, we can get those 2 plays up and going. But Jonathan, let's just keep talking about high school football week 2. Any other games that you have your eye on for week 2?
Oh, my word. I'm glad you asked, Thomas. I mean, this week 2 slate is an absolute doozy. I mean, it's incredible, really, how many rivalry matchups there are in week 2.
Yeah.
Ones I think that should be really good. So, again, these are just talking kind of rivalry games. We got Peoria Notre Dame at Peoria High. That's the game that always produces a ton of points, always seems to be close. Even though how good Peoria High is most years, again, P&D is all, obviously, even if P&D, even in their down years, they seem to play Peoria High very close. That's going to be a great game at Peoria Stadium. Manuel's over at Richwoods. That's going to be a big game. Both teams looking for an early season win and to get back to 1-1. Obviously, Normal Community, Normal West. They got the Chili Bowl down there. Bloomington U-High, a game that we did last year that was very, very entertaining. Probably one of my favorite games I called all year.
Yep.
Again, maybe not kind of like the rivalry, so to say, but again, it's cross town. It's 2 teams that
100%.
before last year hadn't played each other a ton.
Yeah.
And I think, again, should kind of be on that same level this year. And again, both of them had some big week 1 wins. Bloomington beat Danville 40-7. So that's going to be a good one. You got the Route 9 rivalry, DMAC and Tremont. You got, the I-39 rivalry, Fieldcrest and El Paso Gridley. You got Leroy and Tri-Valley. You got Elmwood, Brimfield, and Farmington. It's just one after another after another. I mean, this might be as good of a week in the regular season as we're going to get.
It's pretty amazing because that sounds like a week 7, week 8 slate. That's a week 2 slate. Yeah. That's awesome. High school football here in the area. So we're pumped for it for sure.
Let's see. Does it? Yeah, it's still not pulling it up. So
that's all right. You know what?
Yeah.
For those 2 plays, make sure you just go to our website, ciproud.com, to watch the 2 plays of the week. You can cast your vote. And like I said, the winner will be announced both during the 5:30 Game Day Live show that I host and then again at 11 o'clock. So we'll make sure that you can see those. Again, go to ciproud.com. Play 1 is Kin. Play 2, El Paso Gridley. They're 2 awesome plays. You've probably seen them by now, but make sure you get there. So
yeah. And Thomas, Jonathan. Jonathan, I don't know how much you know about this, but we're going to transition here a little bit. We've been working on our CI Proud 2025 mascot challenge.
yeah, we'll have Jonathan stick around for this before we say goodbye to him. So might as well roll by.
I'm intrigued.
Jonathan, I wanted
intrigued.
to bring this up before you got out of here, so sorry if I jumped in here a little bit. But so what we are doing here, we have gone. I work. This was a big group effort around the station here, but we went through and we found schools that had football teams in our viewing area. We found 36 of them, and we created a challenge where you can go and vote on our CI Proud website. There's on the homepage you can see high school bracket challenge, and we have 5 matchups this first round. Since we had 36 teams, we had to have a couple play-in games. So we'll have Ridgeview Lexington versus Leroy, Stark County versus Princeville, Fieldcrest versus Lewistown, Elmwood Brimfield versus Peoria Heights. So all you got to do is go onto our website, click that little high school bracket. You can vote for your favorite team. You can vote for your rivals or against your rivals. You got a rival, you don't want them to move on, vote against them. You can vote for however you want.
I feel like a lot of students are going to do exactly that. We're going to make sure that our rival doesn't win, so we're going to vote against them. And I love that.
So for this first week, voting will be open until Friday, and then the round of 32 will be 2 weeks long, and then there'll be 1 week after that until we finally can get ourselves a winner. So something we've worked really hard around the station here, and it should be something fun to kind of just get everyone involved, get some people voting. We'll keep posting it on our social medias, so keep an eye out for that.
Should be fun. I'll make sure to vote as well. I gotta remember to do that. I always love brackets. If there's a bracket for anything, I love it. I love brackets. I love the postseason. I mean, football. I mean, we're still well away from the IHSA playoff season, but man, when those brackets come out, man, it's glorious. It really is.
Absolutely. And the goal of it is to just get these schools, students, faculty involved. Like, let's just have some fun with it. We're hoping that maybe as we get deeper into the bracket that some of these schools decide to host pep rallies. This is a sponsored thing, so it would be awesome to see them really get into it. But hey, Jonathan, thank you so much for being a part of this with us again for week 1. And hopefully we'll see you come through the door on Friday a little bit before 11:11 this time.
Definitely. Well, we got to make the drive back from Normal West on Friday. But again, that kicks off at 7. I don't anticipate we'll kick off at 8:15, but who knows? It's always fun on Friday nights, and looking forward to, again, Normal Community, Normal West. You can watch live on CIProud.com at 7 p.m. on Friday.
100%.
And we will be right back after this break, looking at some college football. So we'll talk to you guys.
Let me. Welcome back to the Central Illinois Sports Zone with Thomas Garvick and Christopher Huslick. And unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties with my marching band series. So that is okay. It is on our website. It was about the El Paso Gridley Titans marching band. They kicked off my Friday Night Sounds. I was about to say Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Sounds marching band series for season 2. So make sure you check out that video of them. It was an awesome story to kick things off. It's on our website, CIProud.com for that. So we're going to go ahead and get into college football. Christopher, it was a very eventful week 1. Saturday was my birthday. I'm an Ohio State fan. I was very worried that the Buckeyes were going to ruin my birthday. That was not the case. It was an awesome victory over Texas. That was one of the several notable games. So, Christopher, I'll let you start first. What do you want to talk about first in terms of college football? What stood out to you?
Yeah, so let's kind of start this off with we're going to go head down to Champaign a little bit here. Western Illinois versus Illinois. For Illinois, good football game, solid football game. I was at the game. It was packed. There was a lot of people there watching.
There's been a lot of buzz for this Illini football team. Obviously, they are a well-ranked team. I think they're, 12th maybe?
They just got, with today's ranking, they are now 11th.
They're now up to 11, and I think that's a very good ranking for the Illini.
And I'm a big stats guy, and the stats tell you everything about this game.
Sure.
209 yards on the ground for Illinois, Western Illinois with 29. And if you can dominate the ground game, you pretty much dominate the game. For a while, Illinois looked real sound on offense. Just kind of watching the only thing that, like, as a Western Illinois fan, you're kind of pumped about, and Illinois, you're a little hesitant. 3 sacks on the evening, and then one more time Luke Altmaier was going down, got an intentional grounding. It was kind of questionable whether he was in the box or not.
Sure.
But if that's the only thing that that'd be nitpicking to say, like, you know
100%.
what I'm saying? So it's
just domination, though. They win 52-3. When you're out here saying that Luke Altmaier takes 3 sacks and that's what you got to clean up, that means you came out and did exactly what you were supposed to do, and that's what the Illini did.
And one person that, like, really stood out to me was Hank Beatty. Had a punt return for a touchdown, 69-yard punt return for a touchdown, and 5 receptions for 108 yards. They really only aired the ball out one time that I really remember. Maybe they did it again, but it was to Hank way down the field, 59-yard bomb. So, once again, just dominating performance by Illinois. Western Illinois came out in the first drive and was driving down the field, and Illinois' defense just stood up, and Western Illinois could not get the multiple plays in a row built up. They would have a big play, defense would shut them down. So great football game by Western Illinois, by the University of Illinois. Kind of shifting, still sticking around with Illinois, was Illinois State versus Oklahoma, which was a 35-3 game. Going into the fourth quarter, Illinois State was down 18 to a nationally ranked team. While obviously 35-3 doesn't look very good, Oklahoma put up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter there. Honestly, pretty solid showing by Illinois State to kind of go out there against a ranked national D1 team. Obviously, Illinois State's D1 too, but just a great performance by them.
The quick thing that I just want to say about this game, and then we can move on to kind of the big storylines, is Illinois State they held their own for a while, right? I was really impressed with Oklahoma's quarterback, John Mateer. Obviously, there's a lot of Heisman hype with him after his game against the Redbirds. So I think that's going to be something to look for. Now, Oklahoma brings Michigan to town in week 2, so we're going to see if Mateer can build on that. But the Redbirds, they went out there, they held their own for as long as they could, and now back to business. So, all right, so biggest takeaways from the college football week 1 slate. I think it's pretty obvious what everyone was talking about midway through the Ohio State game is the spotlight was a little bit too bright for Arch Manning. Now, I want to make this very clear. As an Ohio State fan, that was a really tough first start for Archie Manning. I think it's clear as day that Ohio State has a top 3 defense, if not the best defense in college football. Archie Manning looked very human in that game. I think Archie Manning's going to be fine, but I think Ohio State used the motivation that everybody was talking about Archie Manning in Texas, the number 1 team coming to town. Archie Manning, the Heisman favorite, and the Ohio State Buckeye defense did a great job stifling him all afternoon. And so I think it's a learning moment for Archie Manning in Texas, but it was really funny seeing some of the tweets that were coming out during that game. And Archie Manning really struggled.
Yeah, Thomas, and you kind of beat me to the punch there a little bit, but we have a couple. One of the tweets you're talking about here is freezing cold takes reposted. Paul Finnbaum's, I really don't even think this game is going to be close. Texas's roster is better.
That was my favorite tweet of the week.
Like you said, I feel like Arch was getting a lot of hate. He was going into the defending, Ohio State. That's a hard stadium to play in. And they had the ball in the 1 yard. One of my arguments was it really all his fault? There was some play calling questions I saw too. They had the ball on the 1 yard line, 4 defensive linemen stuffed in between the guards. They tried to run a QB sneak, didn't work. That would have essentially put the game at 14-14 at the end. You know, it would
Yeah, what you're referring to, Christopher, just that way everyone knows watching, is it was 14-7 Ohio State. And Texas had the opportunity to score and tie the game. That's been the story, though, for Texas against Ohio State. That's what plagued Texas against Ohio State in the national semifinal game last year. They could not score when they got to the goal line. And credit to Ohio State's defense. But to your point, it's also a fair question of play calling. Why can't Texas score when they get inside the 5? But obviously, that was a huge momentum swing in that game. And again, Ohio State just leaned on their defense. That's what got them to the championship game a year ago. Obviously, their offense was really good. It was definitely a mixture of play calling, I think. I know that Dan Orlovsky tweeted out, imagining having the training wheels on your quarterback for 3 quarters. I definitely think that was the case. But kudos to Ohio State. Their defensive schemes really just flustered Archie. They masked, disguised a lot of things. And ultimately, that was the difference, is Julian Sain looked a little bit more comfortable in that offense for Ohio State. He obviously made the big throw to Carnell Tate for the long touchdown. That play was kind of the difference of the game in terms of 14-7 final. So really impressed with the Buckeyes week 1. I know there was a lot of questions about, can Julian Sain come in and basically replace what Will Howard did? I thought Julian Sain did a great job. Ohio State was able to run the football. I think Ohio State is clear-cut the best team in the country right now, and that reflects in the latest rankings.
Yeah, and I just want to spotlight real quick before we move on what Emmanuel Acho is pretty much saying what I'm thinking as well. 3rd ever start versus a top 3 team on the road. We just got to let the kid struggle. I mean, football is all about bouncing back. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not writing Arch off yet. I refuse to do that. We just got to see what kind of happens going forward and how he bounces back. They dropped down to number 7, I believe, in this newest ranking.
They're down to 7, which I felt was a little steep.
Yeah.
But to your point, Christopher, I think in this day and age, unfortunately, people love to overreact. It's the, what have you done for me lately? And a lot of people are going to write off Archie Manning and say that he's a bust. And it's like, okay, let's realize that he went up against a really talented football team. Like I said, one of the best defenses in the country. There's a lot of things that he needs to clean up, from footwork and just making sure he's making those easy progressions and making those throws. But Archie Manning will be fine. But I think it's, we need to pump the brakes about him being the Heisman frontrunner. That is certainly not the case anymore.
Yeah, and we had a couple other upsets, Thomas, that were kind of fun games to watch.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Alabama FSU.
Game
Florida
of the week
State.
by far. The stunner of the week. 2 years in a row. Alabama, what's going on here?
Well, and also, I saw something too. Florida State last year dropping that opening game to Georgia Tech, and then now they come back this year and just run through Alabama really in that first game. They looked fantastic. They just some of the plays, the play calling was great. Their execution was great. It looked like a team who went out there with the whole intention of upsetting that Alabama team. I saw some trash talking between the two before the game. Fantastic football game by Florida State.
2 big factors in that game that really stood out to me. So Thomas Castellanos, the quarterback for Florida State, he transferred in from Boston College. I was really impressed with him as a dual threat quarterback at Boston College. He comes in, and during the offseason, he says, you don't have Nick Saban to save you. You guys are in for a long day. And Castellanos played basically a perfect game. So obviously he was the X factor for the Seminoles. But 2, Florida State brought in former head coach Gus Malzahn, former Auburn coach. He came in and, to your point, was just dialing up some great play calls. I think Alabama's going to be fine. But obviously, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at a 5 or 6 for Bama. They got destroyed on both sides of the ball. They lost the battle in the trenches defensively and offensively. And so if you're Bama, it's like, where do you go from here? That's a really, really tough loss for week 1. So the Crimson Tide definitely have some work to do and things to clean up in order to contend in the SEC. Because as we know, you can't really lose more than 3 games to be considered a contender for this college football playoff. So we'll see. All right, last game that I definitely want to talk about is Clemson, LSU. I thought the LSU Tigers, they were one of the big winners of week 1, right? all the talk that Brian Kelly cannot win the big game. He can't go on the road and get the job done. Garrett Nussmeier goes in there and plays great in that second half. They were down 10-3 at half. I was really impressed with LSU in that second half. They shut out Clemson to get the job done. That was a really impressive win on a national stage.
Yeah, Tom, and like you said, like that second half was just all LSU. So just those are fun football games to watch. I love watching close but upset wins. It's just something about the sport, and it's just those good close games. And obviously, it was just a great win by LSU.
Yeah, and obviously Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik for Clemson are both two highly touted quarterback prospects for the upcoming NFL draft. And I just felt like that Nussmeier soundly outplayed him, 28 of 38, 232 yards, a touchdown, didn't turn the ball over. Klubnik obviously had a costly turnover in the second half of that game. I feel like Garrett Nussmeier really helped his stock, and obviously he's one of the favorites for the Heisman right now. And so really, really impressed by LSU in Ohio State week 1. Miami got a big win over Notre Dame. Thought Carson Beck looked pretty good for them. So those to me were the big winners. Florida State goes from being unranked to now ranked 13th. So I think they're going to be a really fun story. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break now. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at week 1 of the NFL season. It's finally here. We're going to talk Eagles Cowboys on Thursday Night Football, and then we're going to talk about some fantasy football as well. Don't go anywhere.
CI Sports Zone. I'm Christopher Huselig and Thomas Garverick joining with me. We have a very special guest in here with us for the rest of the show here, Thomas. WMBD's Alex Berger.
Yes, Alex is here. He is ready to talk some NFL. Alex is also in the WMBD Fantasy Football League. So we're going to talk all about those things, but let's go ahead. Let's start with hot takes. We in the newsroom, Alex specifically, loves to give hot takes. So I'm curious, do we have any spicy takes for the upcoming NFL season?
Well, yeah. So, Christopher, Thomas, my hot take for today. So obviously, with it being the start of the NFL season and fantasy, my hot take today is I think Josh Jacobs, running back for the Green Bay Packers, is a top 3 running back in the NFL, the whole league. That is my take today. You know, I'm starting
For just week 1.
for in
Or
general,
for the whole season?
In general,
The whole season, he's going to be top 3 in rushing yards?
yes.
Okay.
So now, I don't say these takes without having some kind of backup, right? The reason I say this, I have drafted Josh Jacobs. I didn't get him this year, but I got him in the past 2 years. In both years, he consistently, week by week by week, unless he was hurt. I know he had that stretch where he was hurt for a while.
Yeah.
He is a consistent 20 to 25 point fantasy scorer, and he was on the Raiders, not a championship caliber team at the time. And he was putting up that kind of numbers. He was doing that with a Raiders line that was struggling at the time. Now he moves to a more playoff-driven team in the Green Bay Packers, under the helm of Jordan Love. And so I think this will be a great year. Obviously, he was with them last year, but I think this will be a great pickup year for Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, he was really good with the Packers year 1. Obviously, why they were so successful was they had a really balanced attack. And I think Jacobs will be even better with the Packers in year 2. From everything that I've read, there's no indications that they are going to change his workload at all. And so the addition of Micah Parsons, you wonder if that's going to help them offensively because the defense is getting more stops and more offensive opportunities for the Packers. But love Josh Jacobs on the Packers in year 2 again. All right, Christopher, you texted me this week. You said, I've got a really hot take. I'm not going to tell you because I want to get a reaction.
Yes.
What is your hot take for this NFL season?
All right, my hot take for this NFL season: the NFC East is going to the Commanders.
Ooh.
Okay. Wow. Why?
Well, first of all, I'm a big Scary Terry fan over here. Okay, great football. I
Just got paid.
He just got paid.
And he just got paid. That's right.
I just feel like they've been really they've been building the last couple of years. And I really think that the Eagles lost a lot this year. I just really think that the Commanders are it's going to be their year. And I just watching some of their preseason games. Obviously, preseason's preseason. When you take that with the grain of salt, you will. But that is my hot take. I think the Commanders will pull off the NFC East this season.
Well, and it's a team that a year ago made it to the NFC Championship game. Obviously, Philly steamrolled them in that game, but nobody saw the Commanders making that run. They beat the Lions in the divisional round, and to Christopher's point, you bring back all the key pieces. I know that Terry McLaurin's holdout was a big talking point for the Commanders, but obviously there's some intrigue in that backfield. Who's going to be the starter? What's that going to look like? But you got to believe that Daniels is going to take the next step as the quarterback for them, and obviously a player that I really like in fantasy football as well. All right, my hot take is going to make Christopher really mad. The Kansas City Chiefs will not win the AFC West.
You're tripping.
They are not going to win the AFC West. That is my hot take, and here's why. This is the best that the AFC West has been in many years. I don't think Vegas is a threat, but they are better. Pete Carroll, good coach. Geno Smith, best quarterback they've had there in years. Yes, I think Geno Smith is better than even when they had Derek Carr. I like what the Raiders are building there. Again, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be better. Love the Broncos, and I really think the Chargers, I know everyone's talking about Denver, like Bo Nix, year 2, Sean Payton, they're getting all these pieces. I don't think enough people are talking about the Los Angeles Chargers. Harbaugh was really good in year 1. Herbert had his moments. I think this offense is going to be better. They bring back Keenan Allen. You've added pieces through the draft in Trey Harris, Omarion Hampton. The Chargers defense is going to be really good. I think this is the year that the Kansas City Chiefs will lose the division because the Chargers, the Broncos are perennial threats that they could also make a deep run. So that is my hot take.
And
I don't care that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged. Don't care. Do not care. That's not going to bring them any fortune. Give me a different team to win the AFC West for the first time in a long time.
And like you said, I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm from Kansas. I'm pretty high on Omarion Hampton. I've drafted him in all 3 of my fantasy leagues. Week 1, he's not going to do much. Okay, he's playing Kansas City. All right, that's my completely 100% biased take. But I agree. The AFC West is up and coming. The Raiders they're trying to turn things around themselves. Justin Herbert I feel like he's kind of underrated in my opinion at points. People don't talk about him as much. Nobody really dogs on him. But I also don't really feel like he's brought up very much.
The Chargers' offense is also not tailored to just throwing the ball 50 times like they used to when Herbert first came out of the league. It's a very balanced approach, but I do think that the Chargers are going to throw the ball a lot more than people think. I know that Greg Roman's the offensive coordinator there, and he loves to run the ball. Obviously, Harbaugh loves to run the football, but I do think with the weapons that the Chargers do have, with Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, and Trey Harris, and then DeAndre Lambert-Smith, I do think this is a team that is going to throw the football more than people think.
And I've been seeing a lot of people on the Ladd McConkey train, fantasy lineups, telling everyone to start him.
Yep.
He's being drafted that Chargers, it's a good football team, and so which will give us a real good Week 1 matchup down in Brazil.
Right.
with the Chiefs and
no Rashee
Chargers
Rice for 6 weeks. I think that's a big one too. Obviously, the Chiefs, they struggle with explosive plays. I know that Xavier Worthy is expected to take a leap in year 2 in that offense, and it'll be interesting to see if the Chiefs come out firing, because I think if you're going to catch the Chiefs in the division, you got to get them early.
Yeah.
You have to put a couple losses on them early, because if the Chiefs start 5-1, 6-0, you're not going to get them.
Well,
you're not going to catch them.
And as you said, we've seen it year in and year out. The Chiefs slow starts, and then by the end of the season, full roll ahead. You'll have Tyquan Thornton out there at receiver too. So I think that'll be a very good Week 1 matchup. I'm excited, kind of nervous. The Chargers are just a little bit nerve-wracking.
I'll tell you what the Chiefs should be nervous about. I'm going to piggyback off of what you said, Thomas. I talked this over with Christopher because I smiled when you said
This
that.
is just turning into let's attack Christopher.
I smiled when you said the AFC West, because the team that I almost went in here with my hot take being is that the Denver Broncos will be in the AFC Championship. I think that the Denver Broncos will come out as AFC West champions. And I am a huge fan of the regime they've got going there. Maybe it's this year. Maybe it's next year. I'm really liking what they're doing over there in Denver. So Cortland Sutton, also a player to look at. So,
All right, you know what? I'm putting you guys both on the spot right now.
Okay.
let's hear it.
Okay.
Super Bowl prediction.
Ooh.
Week 1.
Yep.
Let's see. We're going to come back to this at the end of the year. For all the people at home who don't know this, being from Columbus, Ohio, you either pick Cleveland or Cincinnati. And so my family, we chose Cleveland. So I'm a Browns fan. And so, yeah, we are a laughing stock in the newsroom.
We bring him flowers every day.
Yes, to make me feel better. So I won't be picking the Browns, but I'm curious. I want to hear some predictions because I want to see if either of us can get it right at the end of the year. So Super Bowl prediction. Who are going to be the 2 teams who make it, and pick your winner?
Give me Kansas City, Detroit. Kansas City's taking it.
Okay. Okay. Lions, Chiefs.
As of now, I think we're looking at a repeat. I think we're looking at an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl. Even with the losses that the Eagles have taken in their squad, I think you can't really get away from Nick Sirianni's coaching and Jalen Hurts quarterbacking and Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's the cover of Madden, so it's hard to get away from that.
The only concern with the Eagles, though, is because Saquon is on the cover of Madden, and there's
the curse.
The curse. Does Saquon get hurt? Obviously, there were some concerns with his, him staying healthy in New York, and then obviously had the amazing 2,000 rushing yard year. I hear you, Alex. I'm with you. I think on paper, as long as the Eagles stay healthy, I don't think there's a team in the NFC who can match up with them on both sides of the ball, because the Eagles defense is equally as good.
Yeah.
Really good team. And I do think there's been a lot of national media talk about who are the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. And there's been a lot of national media guys who have said that Jalen Hurts isn't a top 10 quarterback, which I just want to say this right now. That's ridiculous.
Very much so.
Jalen Hurts, and because people say, oh, well, he's just managing the game. No. That offense is tailored around him. He doesn't put up the flashy numbers because the way Philadelphia dominates both time of possession and the defensive side of the ball, they don't need Jalen Hurts to put up Joe Burrow-like numbers every single week. So I think the Eagles have a legit shot of repeating. So, yeah, I like it. So you said Eagles and who?
I said Eagles Chiefs. Now
Eagles, Chiefs.
Watch out for
So a
Buffalo.
rematch.
Watch
Okay.
out for Buffalo. Buffalo, they're coming off of the Hard Knocks, and so it could be something to watch there. They got a good squad, but I think it's a repeat.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to go in a different route.
Okay.
I'm going Eagles, so not super different, but for the reasons that I just mentioned, I just think this Eagles team is really, really good, and it starts with Howie Roseman. He's the best GM in football.
Easily.
With the moves that he makes and the guys that he brings in, they have a great staff who recruits well, they scout well, they do all these things. I don't think there's a team in the NFC, bearing a Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley injury, that beats this team in the playoffs. Out of the AFC, who is the only active quarterback who has beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? Who knows this answer?
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Oh my gosh.
I am going with the Cincinnati Bengals to win the AFC. Burrow is going to knock out two of Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Here's why. Here's why I'm going with this.
Okay,
I understand that their defense is not good. But if their defense gets a little bit better, they arguably are the best offense in football.
Eli Apple.
Yeah, Eli Apple, whoop-de-doo from Ohio State. But this Bengals team, they came out in the preseason, they played all their guys because you know what they said? We've started slow, we want to start fast. I think if this Bengals team stays healthy, that being Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, their offense is going to put up 30-plus a game. If their defense just gets marginally better, I trust Joe Burrow in the playoffs to beat any of those quarterbacks because Joe Burrow has proven over the course of his entire career, starting in high school at Athens, Ohio, at Athens High School, he was a winner there, made it to the state championship game. He then obviously was Ohio State. Buckeye fans try to claim him. I think that's a load of garbage. He goes to LSU. He wins the national championship. Then he comes in with the Bengals, beats Mahomes in the playoffs, and they were one possession away of winning the Super Bowl. The Bengals didn't make the playoffs last year. They started slow. They lost all these games that they shouldn't have lost. I'm going to go a different route because everybody's just been saying Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, who's going to be the quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes? In the money moments, give me Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals, Chiefs, Bengals, Eagles make it to the Super Bowl. We're switching conferences. Bengals, Eagles make it to the Super Bowl, but I'm going with the Eagles to repeat.
Hey,
How about that?
Alex, why don't you tell Thomas what the third hot take you sent me was?
Oh gosh. What was it? Can you give me?
Don't tell me it's Bengals to miss the playoffs again.
Bengals,
Oh, yes.
Bengals 49ers will not have
Yep.
will not have a good season.
Okay.
I don't deny that Joe Burrow is a playmaker. I think he's a great playmaker. I think that Jamar Chase is arguably he is a top 3 wide receiver in this league. But it comes down also to the coaching. And it also comes down to what happens in the big moments. They've had Zach Taylor this whole time throughout, Burrow's, as far as I know, throughout this championship era of them, right? Where they're trying to get to the AFC championship, where they're trying to get to the Super Bowls. And they just haven't done it yet.
Yep.
I think that it may be an off year. Same thing for the 49ers. I'm Kyle Shanahan. He's great. He's come from the same program as the others, but I don't know. Both teams are kind of, I'm not
It's
sure.
an important year for both coaches, for Zach Taylor, for the Bengals, for Kyle Shanahan with the Niners. Obviously, both teams have tasted being in a Super Bowl, but they haven't won it. And so, to your point, if the wheels do fall off quickly, I'm having a hard time imagining the 49ers parting with Kyle Shanahan because I do think he's a really good coach.
Yeah.
Now, I know that for Bengals fans, there is still belief in Zach Taylor, but it would be very interesting if those two teams get off to a slow start again to see what happens. All right. I love the hot takes. We've got about, 5 minutes left, Christopher,
Yep,
give or take?
yep, we got about 5 minutes.
Let's quickly talk week 1, Thursday night. Eagles, Cowboys, and then we're going to talk about some fantasy football and what we're looking forward to this year. Eagles, Cowboys, I think this game is going to be ugly. I think it's going to be ugly.
They just traded Parsons.
They just
out
traded
of
Parsons.
Poor Patrick Cunningham. As everyone knows, one of our sports
weekend
guys,
sports guy.
big Cowboys fan.
Tough sled.
I'm going to be texting him a couple times over the night, just checking in with him. I don't think it's going to be a good game. Eagles are going to put the pedal down. They're coming off that Super Bowl win. It's just not going. I don't think it'll be a good game.
I think Saquon is my fantasy RB1 overall of the week. I think this is a gift wrap matchup week 1. No Micah Parsons. The Cowboys already have their issues defensively. It's banner night. Week 1, usually low scoring. Usually they lean on the ground game a little bit more. This is tease it up for Saquon. I think Saquon literally has 150 yards rushing upside this week. I think he easily clears 100 yards and a touchdown. I think this is a beautiful week 1 matchup for Saquon. I think Jalen Hurts probably gets in at least once with a tush push, but I think the Eagles are going to roll in this game for sure.
I think I will say while the Eagles will win it, I can't say that the Cowboys will win it.
Sure.
I don't think that I think the Cowboys defense is truthfully something to be slept on. Primarily their secondary. They did just re-sign Deron Bland.
He got that nice extension.
Yes.
Good for him.
And he is
Because they don't have to pay Micah Parsons anymore.
Well, here's what I'll say really quickly about the whole Micah Parsons thing. I disagree with how Jerry Jones handled it in terms of just making it so public. It definitely got ugly.
Yep.
I'm okay with the fact that he said, hey, I don't want to pay a non-quarterback money. And we're already seeing reports that Micah Parsons might need an epidural shot just to get
And
through
it's
week
L4,
1.
L5,
To me, that's not a good thing to start the season. And so I'm okay with Jerry Jones saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to do this. It's just the return he got, trading it to the Packers, who are obviously going to be a really good team. I'm okay with him not dealing him and not paying him, but it'll be interesting. Yeah, no Micah Parsons obviously hurts your football team. He's an all-pro player for a reason.
Right.
Yeah, and shifting to Monday, we got Bears football, fellas.
Hey.
Big
all right.
expectations. I know that a lot of analysts have said that there's a lot of pressure on Caleb Williams to succeed right away. And so you just wonder, if Caleb Williams struggles, how loud are fans going to start to get? Are they going to start doubting this guy already? I think Caleb Williams is going to have a really good season. I'm a huge Ben Johnson believer, and I think that Bears offense is going to be really good. But obviously the Vikings, solid defense, NFC North rival. This is going to be a gritty game. And so I'll be really intrigued to see how Ben Johnson incorporates all these new pieces, right? You've got Rome Odunze in year 2. You've got DJ Moore, the veteran. They drafted Colston Loveland very high. They drafted Luther Burden from Missouri.
Yep.
It'll be very interesting to see how does he get all these guys touches? How does he keep them happy? And we're going to see if this Bears offense can come out firing on all cylinders on Monday night.
I'm also pretty excited to see J.J. McCarthy out there. So I've drafted him as a backup quarterback in one of my leagues. It was a 12-man league, so there wasn't a ton of options. Yeah. But I'm also pretty high on J.J., so I think it'll be a pretty good football game. He was, and I think it's a good first Monday night football to kind of start the season. So.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns.
And then I just brought it up a little bit, fellas, but talking about fantasy football, we got our WMBD fantasy football matchups this week.
Wow. You put Alex at the bottom now. Alex, you're not projected to be last, so that's good. And again, projections, they don't really mean anything, people. Just remember that when you're setting a lineup. I know people will set a lineup based off of projected points, but it's interesting. So I actually play Cody week 1, who's projected the least. I feel good that I'm going to get a win, but you just never know. So we'll see. I like my matchups this week. I've got CeeDee Lamb going against the Eagles. I think the Cowboys are going to be trailing for most of that game, so they're going to be throw. So hopefully CeeDee sees a lot of volume. And I love that the Bengals players, Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, open with the Cleveland Browns. I know that the Browns defense is good. It's going to be better. But I think Burrow and Chase Brown both have pretty solid week 1 outings. Yeah, so I like my chances week 1.
I'm facing former WMBD reporter Ben Freeze, and so...
That's right. Proud alum, he's still in the league. Had to bring him back.
I put in Omarion Hampton. I think he's going to do better than they project, so I think that'll be a pretty good game. So
yes, really hoping for a big performance from Lamar Jackson, my favorite player in the league. I really hope he has a great week, and that's who I always rely on for my QB. So
that's right. Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us here at the CI Sports Zone. Again, we have this posted on our website at ciproud.com. We'll see you back here for next week. Here we go. Out on time.
Nice. That was fun. Look at that.
Hey, you can come on whenever you want if you're